Hi everybody, Rick Kempa here at Western Wyoming Community College with some words for my students in my online technical writing class. We are in the early stages of our research report. You guys have all communicated with me with some topic ideas and you've heard back. If you haven't done that stage, that's something that should be done right away. But you've got your topic, you heard back from me. You're ready to get going. You already have gotten going, probably, a lot of you casting around, seeing what sources are out there. Today and in this Unit 6B, we're going to undertake the research project, the research process, I should say, in a more deliberate way with a goal of gathering not just a quantity of sources, that's easy enough in our online universe, right? But rather to gather in a guided activity some selected sources of the very best kind that I think will make you feel pretty good here in the early stages of the report. Okay, so we're going to model together some sources. I'll show you a few things online, but before we do that, a word or two on documentation. As you know, we are going to document the sources we find using the MLA system. Documentation, everybody's favorite topic, right? Basically, it's something we should, if not love, at least embrace the idea of giving other people credit for their words and for their thoughts. Okay, there's all these systems out there: APA, MLA, Old Chicago, etc., etc. We're just working with the particular system, MLA. It's just a set of rules. We've got lots of help and models that we can use to, once we find our sources, put them into the proper format. Okay, you may be using some online documentation tools like Citation Machine. Students have been telling me that's an especially good one. EasyBib.com, Purdue OWL, even the later versions of Word have a built-in documentation system. We won't go through those together, any one of those. It's choose the tool of your preference, right, for the process. I assume you all have some experience with documentation. But we do have one tool in common, and it is our textbook, the latter part of our textbook. There's the MLA blue tab section, about 20 pages or so, and that's our point of reference for documentation. Okay, basically you find a bunch of sources, looking in all different places. Then you say, what kind of source is it? You find a model for the particular source, and you follow the model. Okay. Before we dive into the research part, I want to show you my favorite page in our textbook is this one that says MLA citing a short work from a website. This is part of the documentation section, and most of our sources are going to be from websites. And this source, which you'll read better in the book in front of you, that particular page of our MLA section gives a point-by-point approach to all the information that a citation for a website should contain, and you just put it in order. Okay, so wanted to point that out. That particular page is kind of a fallback for us. All right, so you'll be doing your best to create what we call citations, MLA citations for the sources you find. We'll correct them, we'll help each other. But let's turn now to the actual sources that I have to show you today for the early stages of our report. Okay, so sorry, here we go. This here is the file that you will find in the Unit 6B folder of our course website. This week's work is based on this file. It's called Gathering Sources for Your Research Report. Okay, and what I have here is a series of sources of particular kinds. that I want you to go to, and in almost all cases, whatever your topic, you will find good source material. All right, so you'll examine this more closely. In fact, you've already looked at it. We have half a dozen required sources, of which I say find at least 5. And then there's some additional sources in this week's guided research assignment, a couple of wild cards, a couple of other ones. Okay, so what I want us to do is find at least 7 up to 10 sources. You'll earn points and possibly even earn extra points. All right, so we're going to look at, in the time we have here, we're going to look at some of these sources together. The first one is the Occupational Outlook Handbook, a terrific source. And once you put in the URL, you're going to get to the U.S. government's website, Occupational Outlook Handbook. It looks like this. Thousands of careers listed. You can use the A to Z index, or you can do occupation groups. But I'm just going to quickly take us into an example and see how it works. Suppose you wanted to be a computer and information research scientist. You say, yes, that's the career I am writing about. Whatever your career, hopefully you will be finding a site like this on the OOH website. Okay, there's all kinds of information about each of these careers. Right, I'm going to quickly just be showing, right, the summary, what they do, work environment, how to become one. It's a gold mine, folks. Right, the pay, the job outlook, etc. If you're writing a research report on a career to help other people make their career decisions, these are the kinds of information you need. Okay, so all kinds of information for starters. I will point out that there's a citation, a suggested citation at the bottom for documentation. You can copy and paste that for starters into the assignment, but it's not yet in MLA format. Okay, but there's the information for documentation anyway. All right, so the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Check here, there's on the right hand side, there's a tab called More Info. I'm clicking on that. All right. Another one of the sources I ask us to use is a career-based database. It's another one of the required sources, and when you click on the More Info tab, you get to onet.com. That's one of the career databases. It's a very good source as well. We open that up, and you see that, not right now, folks. It's another career database with, once you get your topic, I've got computer and information research scientists. It took me right to it. And here again are all these sections on this career database with information. Okay, these are 2 great beginnings for research. There's similar information, but also different. Okay, so far, so good, right? Let's go back then to the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Okay, so here we are again with the main file that we'll be working from this week. The gathering sources, we've just looked at number 1 and number 2. You'll be finding information. You'll be putting the documentation information in these expandable boxes. Okay, a third of the main kind of sources is a professional organization in your field. Any profession will have some association, some organization where the people get together to exchange information, clearinghouse, etc. And if we go back to the Occupational Outlook Handbook More Info tab, there's also almost always the associations for that profession can be found here in the More Info tab. And what I ask us to do is to go to these websites and spend a little time at these websites. They've got all kinds of information, and find stuff that you think will fit your report. Okay, so and then here we go. Thank you. Right, this is the Association for Computing Machinery for the Computer Career. Okay, and just a quick scan, right? Just you're going to find this kind of stuff, those professional websites. Who knows what there's going to be? You scroll down and you say, what might be useful for my report? There'll be links. Spend a little time on these websites. There'll be stuff about jobs, about changes in the field, all kinds of stuff. So you find a page and you say, hey, I might use that, and then you document it. Pausing again. So we have just looked quickly at 1, 2, and 3 examples of in the computer career field, examples of finding those kinds of sources. Let's look at a few of these other sources in the 5 minutes we have left on this video. I ask you to find a specific page from the website of a college or university. That will be a .edu, right? There's going to be a section of your report for sure, how to become whatever career you are writing about. So there's going to be a section on education. Find a college that has a curriculum, that has a program of study, and find the page on that college or university that gives the course descriptions and so on. That will be a useful part of that section of your report on how to become the professional whom you are writing about. Okay, you can just Google to find those colleges. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 6 of the first required courses, you'll also be looking for the website of a specific business or company in the career you are exploring, a .com source. Those are the ones that are pretty easy to find, right? A .com source. So if you're a petroleum engineer, you'd be looking at perhaps some of the websites of some of the corporations here in western Wyoming that employ petroleum engineers, right? And see what they have to say, their job descriptions, and so on. It's a valuable a source that'll give some real world perspective. All right, there's one might find, I'll scan down here in textbooks you have or other print sources. You might find materials on your career. You want them to be up to date, of course. One of you asked even, can I use videos or multimedia? Yes, you can use any source that you deem to be a credible source, a person who is believable, an expert, or at least someone experienced in the field. Okay, so yes. All right, let's finish by looking at this article accessed through a periodical database. All right, going over to the college website. When you're on Blackboard, when you're on Mustang Cruiser, you click on the library. It takes you into the Western Wyoming College library, and I ask us to browse a database to find some article on your particular career. There's all kinds of databases, right? You might find specific ones. EBSCO is one. I prefer ProQuest, and I'll click on that here, and hopefully it'll wake right up. Okay, I am on the ProQuest database. You may have a database of your choice, or you may find another one that seems to fit better. I'm just using this as an example. A database is a collection of millions of articles that have generally been peer-reviewed. In other words, you can trust the credibility of. You would take your career and type it into the search engine. In addition to typing in the career, you type in some additional search term that you want information on. It could be burnout, it could be safety, emergency room nurse, it could be interviews. You want these databases to give you a kind of information of the sort that you don't already have. You want personal perspective, so you've got plenty of facts and descriptions from those other databases, from those other sources of information. Okay, so a periodical database, any kind of database, will give you articles, right? You can narrow your search to full text and peer-reviewed. That's never a bad idea. It's not necessary for the peer-reviewed, but you're going to, as you know, scan the articles that come up looking for something of interest, click it, you get more information on it, you can read it, decide if you want it, and these articles also often have citations, I point out, where you could get the MLA citation there. All right, so in summary, In summary, then, we have just done a crash course whirlwind look at a variety of specific places where you can find good sources for your report. This week's assignment is to find as many as you can to create those MLA citations for those sources, and that'll give us a great foundation to work with as we push forward in this project. Thanks, and be in touch.